Investor Intelligence provides general information only. You should consider seeking independent advice to see how this information relates to your unique circumstances. Please refer to the terms and conditions available at investorintelligence.com.au for more.
Guys, welcome and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Investor Intelligence. Brought to you by the team at the Property Mentors, it's your weekly podcast for all things investment and hosted by me, Phoebe Zakowski-Wallace. Today's episode is part 2 of my chat with Andrew Purdie. So Andrew wears many hats, but is a bit of a household name here in Australia for being a property developer. So picking up where we left off, in this part he talks about his launch of the Purdie Foundation, the upcoming launch of his own podcast, The Hidden Philanthropist, and he ends on his key piece of advice for anyone who wants to get into property developing. If you haven't already, jump back and check out episode 1, and I hope you enjoy. So let's talk a little bit, we were talking a little bit before about your foundation before we started recording, but tell me about the Purdie Foundation.
So I guess that's why I just said in 10 years' time my vision will be social housing.
I could see the connection
I'm
there.
transitioning at the moment from keeping my business running and implementing the people and the strategy in there to make it hum along and keep running whilst I step back from it a bit and I transition into my path of my philanthropic path, my path of charity, which is what really resonates with me at the moment. So I guess it's that recognition and realisation that money, well, for me, everyone has different drivers. I mean,
sure.
Money makes lots of people really happy. It doesn't make me miserable. But for me, it's no longer about this, trying to accumulate massive wealth. It's about helping others less fortunate and helping people that need help and making sure my business continues to run and be successful. But I guess, success for me and what success looks like is changing at the moment. So there's corporate success, there's success can be measured in so many different ways. And at the moment, success for me looks like how I can go out there and make a difference and help people where I can help them. So I started up the Purdie Foundation, which I thought was going to be this vehicle that I put money into and then went and helped people. But as I continued to evolve with the foundation, I realised that it wasn't that easy and there was challenges to it. And I wanted to, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to get money to the coalface of issues that I saw as something that resonated with me and I was passionate about. I didn't really know how to do that. I went and started talking to other charities, and some of them I work hand in hand with now. Some of them didn't really resonate with me, but yeah, I just realised that what I had thought, and it goes back to like the property development career and everyone's career. I mean, you start something and you learn, don't you? You go if you go into something and think you know everything, you're a fool. So I sort of went in with eyes wide open and realised pretty quickly that. Firstly, I knew I had capacity to earn money and raise money. What I learned was I didn't have the capacity or the time or the manpower to deliver that money to the coalface of the problems that I wanted to help. So I pretty quickly learned that I was best raising the money or donating the money or bringing in the money and then partnering up with people that maybe had different strengths to me. So that would be charities that don't have the ability to be able to make money or earn money or they need money, but they do have the manpower and they do have the capacity to deliver at the face of the problem.
Yeah.
So I went on this cool journey about dealing with different charities and talking to different people and talking to people that had dedicated their life to charity or had dedicated part of their life to charity, and super cool journey. It's something that I'm repeating myself, but I recognise I don't know everything about it. In fact, I know very little about it, but that's my next part of my journey, is learning and seeing where that takes me.
How exciting. I can't wait to see where that goes. That just sounds amazing.
It's cool. I think it's nice that I've got this business that sits over there that I'm still really passionate about and I enjoy, but I'm finding new things in life that I'm passionate about.
And the last thing I want to talk about, which I'm quite excited for as well, you have your own podcast coming out soon and called The Hidden Philanthropist. I've actually had to practice saying that word a couple of times so I could say it properly.
So you know how many times I'm in my own podcast and I stuff it up, so don't feel bad.
It's a prick of a word sometimes,
It is.
But tell me about that. What kind of podcast?
It was part of the journey. I stumbled on it. I had no intention at all of doing a podcast. In fact, truth be told, it was only very, very recently that I listened to my first podcast. So I'd never listened to a podcast before. But what I did know was that as I was going out and meeting these people, they had really, really cool stories to tell. And I think that my biggest driver, my initial driver, which is no longer my biggest driver, my initial driver was go out and talk to these people and see how they did it, see what the charity or philanthropic aspect of their businesses and their lives looked like. But what I ended up finding out or realising is that these people have a really cool story to tell. But in life, there is nothing uglier, or I think, there is nothing uglier than pushing your own agenda. So it's very hard for these people. I mean, a lot of these people are really high net worth people, and not all of them, but a lot of them are high net worth people, industry leaders. Some of them are sports people, some of them are business people, some of them are from all these different walks of life. And there's often an intense, there's often this extreme media hunger, this extreme media need to grab them and put them on the front of the paper. But it's always for the wrong reasons. It's like, like Lindsay Fox, for an example. I always use this analogy, but Lindsay Fox goes down and lands his helicopter on the Mornington Peninsula. All the residents are up in arms. The Herald Sun put it on the front page of the paper. Very hard for Lindsay Fox to ring up the paper and go, you know what, I landed my helicopter on the beach on the weekend, but I also donated $10 million to charity last year. So let's do an article on that and let's talk about the Children's Hospital or the oncology wards, the children's with cancer, all these incredible things that these families do. But they just simply can't push their own agenda. And as I was talking to them and listening to how cool their stories are, I'm like, you know what, you might feel uncomfortable, you might not have the mechanism or the platform to be able to go and push your own agenda, but I'm going to push it for you.
Yeah.
So if I come to you and I say to you, you know what, I see what you do, or I read about it, or I've had a chat with you and I've listened to what you do and it's an incredible story and today I'm here to talk to you about it. Let's talk about it. You know, I can extract their story from them and I can get it out there and some of these people that are, you know, potentially not always recognised for the amazing things they do in their life. They're recognised for kissing a celebrity. They're recognised for going through a divorce. They're recognised for getting caught speeding. But, you know, it's time to recognise these people for the amazing work that they do. So these chats with people have organically turned into a podcast.
That's amazing. And what a fantastic platform for them to be able to, you know, as you said, just push, you know, not push their agenda, but talk about themselves. Because I think even in a lot of people's personal lives, they don't like to put themselves forward, but especially when they, you know, they've got these business ideas and all that, there is this kind of air of embarrassment that people have of pushing their, you know, their baby forward. And yeah, something like a podcast is such and there will definitely be no shortage of guests for you. So that's exciting.
I've had some super cool guests. So that's exciting. That'll come out next year. Yeah. And that's, you know what, I think it's nice to talk to these people and clarify at the very start of the conversation. I'm not interested in your marriage, your divorce. I'm not interested in your wealth. I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested in that. Like, we're here today to talk about what you do for other people and why you do it and how it makes you feel. And I think at the end of each podcast, we have this little bit where we can show people how they can engage with each of these charities, because I think I'm starting to see now that there's a huge amount of people out there that are willing to help.
Yeah.
And people don't need to help with money. In fact, quite often, these people have got a lot of money and they're prepared to donate a lot of money. But a lot of these charities simply don't have the hands to help. And so people can donate time, people can donate intellect, people can donate all food, they can donate all these things. It doesn't need to be money. And now I'm realising that there is a lot of people out there willing to do that. They just don't know how. So I guess part of the Hidden Philanthropist is firstly listening to all these cool people and the amazing things they do. But secondly, it's teaching people that if you've got a willingness to help, you can do it. This is how you do it. Get out there, give back in whatever way you can. But if these people that are really time poor and running super busy, if they can give back and they can give their time, we can all do something. We can all do something to help, and it it feels good to help other people, and it needs to be more of that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. Can you give us a little teaser of any of the guests?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
I have told you off air, but
you told me off air. That's okay. No, I'm super excited to hear that. So, Andrew, my last question for you, and I think you've actually kind of answered it before, but just in case you've changed your mind in the last 10 minutes or so, if you were mentoring someone who wanted to get into development, what would your key piece of advice be?
Do you know what my key piece of advice has changed over the last few years? And that would be, unless you're super, super, super passionate about development, make it happen organically. Banks are so hard now on debt serviceability. If you're in a job and you're making good money, start small, start slow, start organically, and do your research. Knowledge is to build a couple of townhouses. You don't need to know everything, but do as much research as you possibly can, because knowledge will mitigate risk.
Yeah.
And if you're at school at the moment, study hard and get a job that pays well, because if you've got good income, you can do property. If you don't have income, property development without a job that has decent income these days is very, very, very difficult.
Okay.
Unless you've got a lot of money, like massive equity in property or a huge inheritance, unless you've got a big lump of money, very hard just to go and buy a property and develop it and be a developer. Banks hate it.
Okay.
So stick at your job, have good income. That is my first piece of advice, because income outside of development is the key to successfully getting into the development space.
Fantastic. So where can people go to find out more about you, or the Purdie Foundation, or anything else? Yeah,
good question. So obviously we've got a website up until a year ago. I really didn't even ever have a website. We've got a website up at the moment.
You've got a beautiful website, by the way.
BennettWilliams.com.au. We've got a website, and then within the next couple of months, I'll have andrewpurdie.com.au, which will have the Hidden Philanthropist and my family's foundation on there, and socials. So I usually, Bennett Williams posts a fair bit of stuff on there about their projects, and on Andrew Purdie's Insta, I post a bit about the Hidden Philanthropist.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Andrew, it's been so nice to meet you. I'm so excited to hear where all your endeavours go. It's been so nice to hear about them, up until this point. Luke has always spoken so highly of you, so I was very excited to get you on today. The work you're doing is just amazing, and as I said, I can't wait to see what the future holds.
And I don't want this to sound really gimmicky. First and foremost, it's been a pleasure. I've loved coming on your podcast, but what I will say is the property mentors have been part of my journey since, when I say the start. Luke's been a part of my journey for a long, long time now, so maybe not in the development space, but if you're looking at getting into investing, the property mentors have been with me since the start, or pretty close to it. So reach out to those guys, have a chat with them. They're the ones that are going to help you on how to get into the investing space.
So I didn't even have to pay him to say that. There you go. Thank you, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
If you found this episode or any of our episodes helpful, please make sure to share and leave a rating to help us reach more people on their investing journeys. And of course, subscribe to be notified when new episodes drop. Make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at Investor Intelligence Podcast. You can find links to our other socials in the show notes, including a link to the Property Mentors weekly blog. If you're ready to get your property portfolio in shape for financial freedom, check out Luke's latest book, Property Fit. You can get yourself a copy at www.propertyfitbook.com.au.